Hey, Superior Shave fans that are humans, how you doing today? This one goes out to the gentleman in Lutz, L-U-T-Z, Florida. He sent in this razor for honing. Look at this beautiful thing. This is the venerable Dovo Best Class, number 95. They made it with snakewood or desert ironwood scales, and this appears to be the desert ironwood. Isn't that gorgeous? This thing looks pretty unused. Nonetheless, I'm going to... I'll skip this one because it looks so fresh. So we've got these little four... Well, this one is a little bit longer. This is a 4-inch block of wood that I have shaped to be convex down the 4-inch length for putting lapping film on, so that you could emulate a wheel. Is that something you can see there? Sure you can. So you can go buy this for sale for 10 bucks, and I'm going to go get some more sandpaper and polish this little puppy off and shape the rest of these old Chinese-made 97-cent blocks. And then eventually I'll get some lapping film and cut it down to size. This is 3M diamond lapping film. They're $17 a sheet for a 3x8 inch piece, which if you are cutting it down this for these little blocks, you would take the 3x8 and cut it twice down the 8-inch length. So you'd have 3 divisions of 1 inch wide, and then you'd cut it once like that, so you'd have 6 little adhesives to go onto wood blocks. The idea at some point would be polish up one of these guys to be the 6-foot diameter this way and the 25-foot diameter that way, and put 2 lapping films on there, and then you could set in a bevel like this and then flip it over and refine the bevel like that, and then you could switch to something very flat and hard and fine for the last step. Alrighty, Superior Shave fans and humans, that's just pure mineral oil, and it looks much better to do it this way, but it works much better to hold the razor in your hand like this and you just rub on that thing until you see fresh meat. Doesn't take long at all. Especially if I use that 600, the 30 micron one. That thing will fly off the steel. I am replacing the barely concave factory bevel, perhaps. We don't know. But let's assume it was never sharpened from the factory and he somehow got this 12-plus-year-old razor brand new, unused. I am replacing a little bit concave factory bevel with a much more concave bevel because the razor can withstand a lot more concavity than the factory can easily put in. The factory, as you know, uses that spinning disc that looks like a vinyl record spinning on a turntable. And the disc is, they're like 10 inches of abrasive across, and it spins like this, and it's thicker in the middle than on the outside. So when they move tangential to the disc, they are effectively having a curve go like this and also like that. And what it does is it makes so that the bevel is set in with a slight concavity that they then refine on the bench stones, which are hand-shaped to be convex to a larger diameter than would be the convexity on that wheel. But in the heyday of the razor, they had a single foot-powered wheel made of Arkansas stone, 7 to 12 inches in diameter, 1 to 2 inches thick, and they would use that for the entire process. After the hollow grinding, the razor wouldn't have an edge to speak of, and they would set in the edge and refine it, all without touching the razor's spine to the abrasive because the diameter of the wheel was so small. So they did it all by freehand. Okay, Superior Shave fans and our humans, we are looking for new shine, and I could see that there's plenty there and not so much in the middle. Good. I didn't give enough to the middle. That's what I want, because this little shaping mechanism is shaped with a 25-foot diameter going across this. So technically speaking, down the middle, it's ever so slightly taller than the rest. The reason you do that is because if you make it perfectly flat, the razors aren't perfectly flat. And what will happen is, on a razor with a gentle warp, which is 99% of them, you'll end up honing away more metal than you would have needed to if you were to have convexity going across the width of the stone, or in this case, across this dimension. It is simpler to use a pure cylinder, but the idea is that you take off as little steel as you ever possibly can. Let me just put a little bit more oil on there. Just a drop of oil. Okay. Yeah, the idea is always use as little steel removal as possible. And all these people on the internet that are saying reset the bevel with a flat 1,000 grit stone and don't stop honing on that stone until you see your marks have taken over the entire little bevel thing. What have you really done? You've thickened the tip of the razor and you've moved the whole razor closer to the spine. So you have permanently reduced the width of the razor to, it might not see to the naked eye that you can see the difference, but you just threw away the really good skinny part at the end of the razor, in my opinion. That's where the razor works the best, is early in its lifespan when it's got lots of concavity. Regaining concavity later is difficult. Just a little wisp of a bevel on there. You can see now I'm moving this way, but you can go either way as long as you don't change these orientations. You can move it any which way you like. We're going to correct all that at the end. Okay, just a little bit more over there. Well, now I cooked it too much. All right, no worries. We'll fix that later. Let's do a couple of gentle stropping direction strokes to, you guessed it, put a little piece of metal at the very front of this thing, which we're going to immediately wipe off on from the other side. Alrighty then. I can actually feel the edge folded over. As I'm going like this, I could feel it. And you just cooked off that steel just like that. Yeah, you can feel it's gone. Well, no, it's still a little bit over there. It's okay. You might have seen videos of the Germans in the factories. They have a little slab of moist horn, and when they create a burr, they draw the razor bread knifing style through the moist horn. And apparently that takes off just the little burr and nothing else. They do that after the wheel and before the first bench stone, I think. Anyway, I've seen various German grinders in person, and they all had that little wet piece of horn. That's just a beautiful little bevel. The grind on these is so good. They didn't call them best class for nothing. I feel like they took the regular 5/8 stainless, and after they tempered and quenched them, they individually looked at them to see which ones were the flattest. And then they took the flattest ones and gave those to the best grinders, and those became the razor that bears the name best class. All right, Superior Shave fans, not humans, we have established plenty of concavity on there. Now let's refine it and then finally switch to the end with a bench stone. Woo-hoo-hoo, watch it. I'm just doing it this way for the camera. If the camera wasn't on, it would not be oriented in this position relative to my body. All right, I'm going to switch to a bench stone now. There are still considerable tiny filaments in front of the apex that I've made. So I've made this curved thing that comes and has like a little solid part. I'm describing what you could see in a 10x loop. And then there's little frayed metal in front of it, the burr. Which means on the early steps of the diamond hone, because they're so fast, I could have theoretically sharpened this razor and reduced less of the total steel remaining on the razor if I would have stopped just before you completely overtake the apex of the razor. My philosophy with this convex honing stuff is the early work is just removing steel from in front of the razor, let me say that again. The early work is just there to get the apex of the razor to have such a thin condition immediately behind it that regardless of the actual shape of the apex, when we switch to our final stone, whether it's flat or slightly convex, whatever it is, if the area behind the apex gets thin almost immediately, then your final stone should only be touching, let's say, at most 1/10 of 1 millimeter of width of the razor from the apex toward the spine. We're talking 100 microns, only a little bit more than the width of a human hair on average. Now that stone is a caudicle that's shaped to about somewhere just under 20 feet. And I have therefore thickened the tip of the razor, but I have probably thrown away, because it auto-slurries, I've probably thrown away that burr. I'm just going to do a few steps on this Lagros Blanche and then go to an Arkansas stone. Is that rain again, or is it the air conditioner? I hope it's the air conditioner. It has rained here in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 consecutive days. And I don't mean like the summer shower that we always get where it rains briefly every day. It's rained for an hour in a row for 10 days, which I've lived here 15 years now. That doesn't happen. I'm ready for it to stop raining. All right, Superior Shape fans and other humans, I feel that we can go on to the Arkansas stone, and I'm going to take a peek in the microscope to make sure the burr is gone. Alrighty, Superior Shape fans and other humans, I like what I see. We are on to the finale. The black, convex, Dan's 3 by 10 by 1 inch black Arkansas stone, also known as hard Arkansas. Known by many names, it's all the same thing. And I'm just gonna, that was straight ballistol. Just gonna water it down ever so slightly. Ballistol doesn't smell great. You know, I wonder if I put oud oil in the ballistol if it would smell better. You'd probably smell the acid or whatever that makes ballistol what it is. I'm used to it. But what makes ballistol great is that you can mix it with water. Just a few more swipes with it really thin. Then I'm going to turn on my warm water to get my stone washed off. That's another beauty of ballistol. You can just rinse it with warm water, maybe a drop of hand soap, and your stone is as good as new. Ooh, that was a good one. Alrighty, enjoying good health, Mr. Lutz, Florida.